Venezianico Arsenale Bizantino. It's a complex name for a watch, and the watch itself is equally complex. Today I'll be talking about this watch, and I will talk about 3 things that I like about this watch, 3 things that I think of as critiques of the watch, and 3 lessons I've learned in my watch journey by wearing this watch. So let's get started. Hi and welcome to You Just Watch. My name is Adi, and on this channel I'm documenting my watch journey. I'm a watch enthusiast, and as I'm trying out new watches, learning about watches, I am sharing my experiences with you here on this channel. I hope you find the information useful, and hopefully we'll have fun along the way as well. So welcome, and today under the microscope is the Venezianico Arsenale Bizantino. The Arsenale is their line of integrated bracelet watches, basically a watch where the watch case and the bracelets are designed as a single cohesive unit. So the bracelet kind of connects to the case without traditional lugs. The look and feel of integrated bracelet watches is seamless. There's kind of a unity of form. Bracelet watches are not new. They've been around since the 1970s, but they've become quite popular of late. So let's do a quick recap of the technical specifications of the watch. The case and bezel material is stainless steel. It's engraved. The dimensions are 40 millimeter and then 44 lug to lug. The thickness of the watch is just under 10 millimeters, so quite thin. And the movement within the watch is the 9039 Miyota automatic no-date movement. The crystal is sapphire crystal with anti-reflective coating. The watch has 50 meters of water resistance, and it comes with a bracelet, their Canova concept bracelet, which is also an engraved bracelet. So the price for the watch is around $1,050 US. I pre-ordered this watch in November of 2025 and it arrived in early January. I was attracted by this watch because I was looking for something that had a feel of jewelry. Now we all know that watches are a tool. You can see time on them, and for some of the watches really serve that purpose, but we can see time on our phones now. So there is this element of jewelry or luxury kind of attached to watches, and for men there's kind of single piece of jewelry that most men wear or can wear. So that was why I wanted to really jump into that kind of an experience and get a watch that had a real bracelet feel to it. So the fact that this watch was completely engraved, looked like a piece of jewelry, had an integrated bracelet, was something that I wanted to experience. And that's what made me order this watch. Now that I've had the watch for over a month and I have been wearing it quite regularly, what do I feel about it? So I think there are 3 things about this watch that I really like. And I will start with the fit of the watch and the feel of the watch on the wrist. I find the watch to be extremely comfortable on the wrist. It fits really, really well. It feels light. It feels like something you can put on and kind of forget about it. And I think it's a really nice feeling to have on your wrist. So overall, the size of 40 millimeter, the way the bracelet is designed, all that works really, really well for me. And I really enjoy wearing the watch. The second aspect of the watch that I really like is the look. It's meant to be a watch to look at, and I think it does that really well. It is unique, and it's also well balanced. And what I mean by that is that the bracelet, the case, everything kind of feels like it's meant to be together. Nothing kind of really sticks out, which I think is very important in a watch like this. The dial itself it's simple, but it has nice sunburst pattern on it, which has its pros and cons, and I'll talk about it a little bit more later. but the no date part really suits it. And so overall, I think it does a really good job in that aspect. And I think that's something really important. The other important thing in that regard is also that it does not come across as gaudy or too fleshy. And I think that was one of the things I was worried about when I was getting the watch, was like, will it be too much? But I don't think it is too much. And it kind of wears well with really formal clothing, festive clothing, but also with everyday clothing. So I think in that sense, the look that it has goes along with a lot of different attires. So I think that's a big positive of it as well in terms of the look of the watch. And the third thing that I like about this watch, which is interesting to talk about it, but is the simplicity of the internal engineering. And what I mean by this is that it has a movement, the Miyota 9039, which is a commonplace movement. It's nothing great, but it does a good job of keeping time, and it's easy to maintain. You can get it serviced easily, which I think is important, because what the watch is contributing is more in the design aspect rather than the internal engineering aspect. And from that perspective, not having a date also, I think, works to the advantage of this watch, because there really is no need for a date. And I think a date would have taken away from the nice, seamless look of the watch. So I think I like that part as well. I know the water resistance is 5 ATM, which might not be a lot for some people, because you can't really go swimming in this watch, but I think I'm okay with that. I think it's good enough for this watch. It has a screw down crown, which for some people might be an overkill, but for me, I think it gives me peace of mind. I like that in the sense that if I'm out in the rain wearing this watch, or if I'm washing dishes, I don't have to worry about getting the watch wet. So I think from that perspective, I really like that screw down crown. Having looked at some of the positives of the watch, or things I really like about the watch, let's talk about what are some of the critiques. So I have some critiques, and I'm going to start first with the legibility. So now that sunburst pattern, which is beautiful and gives you all these interesting design as light falls on the dial, also makes it hard to read the time on the watch under certain light conditions. And this is especially true when you are in indoor lighting. Depending on the kind of light, where it is set up, whether you are in a restaurant or a party, which is the places where I have experienced it, it's hard to see the time, and you have to twist the watch to very specific angles to get the time on it. And that, I think, for me, in some ways, is a strong critique if you are someone who cares about legibility a lot, and I do. And I know this is a dress watch, it won't have 100% legibility, but that's something to be mindful of when you kind of go for this watch, especially these kind of dial patterns, the sunburst dials and so on. Interestingly, there is some lume, actually good lume on the watch. It doesn't last very long, but when it is there, when the light is there, when it looks really nice. And I think for a dress watch, once again, you don't always expect lume, but here you have the lume, and I think it's really nice to look at on this watch. But it's not something I would depend on. So if you leave the watch for a few hours, not even overnight, just for a few hours or something, the lume will go away. It doesn't, but it's there in case, that is something you care about. The second critique I have for this watch is the thing that I also really like about the watch, which is the bracelet. Now, I was lucky in that I could remove 2 links from both sides, and the bracelet fit me really well, right? So it really worked for me, but there are no micro adjustments of any kind, and there are no half links of any kind. So if it doesn't work for you, if you don't kind of get lucky with the fit, it's something that you can't really adjust. So you have to keep that in mind. Also, like I'm assuming other bracelets, especially integrated watches, initially the watch really pulls on your hair. So you have to be careful while putting the watch on and wearing it. But after a few washes, and I use a light cloth to kind of clean the surfaces and take off any machining remnants that might be on the steel, It now, after a month of wearing it, is doing well. But the fit and the adjustment of the bracelet, that's something that to be mindful about. Finally, the third critique of the experience of owning this watch that I have, and it's especially true for someone who is in the US buying this watch, is the experience if you want to return it or the customer service. So when I first got the watch, without actually, completely taking all the plastic off and everything, I wanted to give it a shot, and I realized I was having a very hard time reading the time on the dial. Legibility of time made me ponder that I want to return this watch. So I started that process, and the customer service was slow. And then I realized that it would cost me almost 25% of the price of the watch to actually be able to return it. Now all this is not very clear on their website, otherwise I would have thought twice about purchasing. And this has to do with all the new tariffs and so on that are in place now, and the whole shipping and so on. But it's something that as a whole experience of buying a watch without putting it on your wrist is something to be very mindful about. And increasingly, as customers are looking to buy watches from across the world, this is something that is coming into play more and more. This whole experience was compounded by the fact that the watch it's not cheap. It's not a very high-end piece of luxury watch or something, but still it's, as far as micro brand goes, it's kind of slightly on the expensive side. And so you want to really enjoy the experience if you own the watch. So I think it's important to kind of keep that in mind as you are purchasing this watch. If you are not really sold on it, and if you're hesitant about the sizing and so on, I would think carefully about the purchase. I like it, I wear it, I own it, I have it, but that's just my experience with this watch. Please feel free to ask any questions in the comment section below, or share your experiences if you own this watch. And until next time, enjoy your watch experiences and keep watching.